Good evening, fellow storytellers, writers, and other linguistic troublemakers. It is your girl, JBHarris, once more, yet again, and still running an hour late, but yet and still your girl is here, fighting through holiday madness and other personal dramatics. But I want to pop in tonight to talk to you about something that I've only teased about on the podcast that I run called The Writer's Block, and also on my writing page, JBHarris Writing Services, which if you want to follow that, if you want to follow that space, it's actually Come Get Your Right Life, WRITE, on WordPress. So that address again is http:// come get your right, as in with a pencil, rightlife.com. All right. But for those of you who may have just stopped in or may catch us on the replay, I'm JBHarris. I run the Ideal Firestarter with the great help of my girls, Ramisha Davis, Shansia Shotwell, and Rebecca Quarles. Follow that page as well. But here tonight, I want to talk about something that's been really near and dear to my heart and kind of something I've been doing on the back burner for the better part of about 3-4 years now. So if you're watching me on this space, that means that you are familiar with my personal site that has all my essays, think pieces, and things like that. Some short stories and poems called I Breathe Fire, right? Follow that too. JBHarrisBreathesFire.com. I promise it'll bless you. And also, as far as Come Get Your Right Life is concerned, all my think pieces are there as well as it relates to writing, encouragement. And I also do this dope thing called encouragement pages, which actually post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's just maybe about 100 to 250 words, something you could read on a coffee break, or something you can pass on to someone else as it relates to writing or encouraging people to write, aka encouragement pages. But tonight, I am so pleased to announce that starting January 2020, right? Starting in January 2020, I will be launching into mentorship. Now, I know some of you are thinking like, mentorship for writers? What does that mean? What does that even look like? Let me put you up on game. Not everybody is as versed with these 26 letters as you would like to think that they are. I get inboxes from people all the time asking me, what I think about this, or can I help them with this? Can I look over this? Can I edit? Can I contribute? Right? So what I have, pardon me, because I have notes I'm actually going to refer to as well. So as it relates to mentorship, my passion is actually teaching people how to write and how to write better. I say this all the time, and I told a really good girlfriend of mine, her name is Adrienne Horn. She runs I Am Editing Inc. I told her that a good editor is worth their weight in gold. And I stand by that. Also, the one thing that I believe people forget is that before you get to an editor, you have to be able to show the editor some kind of work. And sometimes the most devastating thing is having a story or a concept or a project inside of you, and either one, no one can see it, or two, you have no one to help push you to do that, right? So the one thing that JBHarris Mentorship is going to do is see the vision that you have inside of yourself, whether it be a poem, whether it be a story, whether it be a play, and push you toward creating that thing, right? Because the one thing I find that is so heartbreaking in the spheres and circles that I travel in is people who have the potential to create a work and are told that they can't do it. Not even from internal talk, but just from people who they're around who say, oh man, you shouldn't write that, or you shouldn't create that, or that's dumb, or that's stupid. You shouldn't give your energy to that, energy to that. And to that, I challenge. This is one of the reasons why JBHarris Mentorship Group exists and will exist come January 15th, 2020. That is the official launch date. If you need any other information about JBHarris Mentorship Group, make sure that you follow Come Get Your Right Life. All information leading up to the formal launch will be there, including all my notes and FAQs that will be listed toward the end of this live. But more about me. I am a mom, I'm a working parent, and I'm actually finishing my BD, going into my MFA come next fall. For those of you who are unfamiliar, MFA is Master's in Fine Art, in Fine Art, which means I'm gonna cross over from my BD and go to my MFA, because this is what I believe I have been put on earth to do, is to help, to teach, to impart, and to push, right? So the credentials are there, right? But we also know that there are people who have massive amounts of intelligence who don't necessarily have a college degree. I, for one, because I value the gift and skills and talents that I have chosen to go to school. Because I believe that writing is a craft. I believe it's an art and also a skill, and it's also a craft. It's something you're going to have to continually work at. That one you get for free. Also, as you heard me say earlier, I am also the founder of the Ideal Firestarter. Come next month, the Ideal Firestarter will be 4 years old. Right? So that means next December, going into next January, I will be at the helm of that for 5 years. I've been running, I have also been running I Breathe Fire for about a year. That's the total new platform where all my other pieces go. I've also been running JBHarris, writing services for about 3 years now. So I've been at this for a minute. I'm not coming out of the gate with nothing under my belt, with no impartation, no wisdom, no skill, no experience to help you. I've been where you may be coming from, or someone you know may be coming from. I know what it's like to have work and words inside of you and not have any way to get them out. I know what it's like to have no one believe in you. I understand what it's like to have to do a job that you have to, that is a must in order to help take care of your family, and still be called to do something that feeds your spirit. I know what that's like. I walked away from my nursing education in order to finish English because it had gotten to the point that the two could no longer coexist. So I know what it's like. I also have written, as you all may have known, for those of you who are not in the know, I also wrote the novel Ruby. I've actually written, now the total Amazon is 12 books, and I actually have more coming. I actually am also working on an anthology called For a Black Girl, which is essays and think pieces in that as well. I edit, I help consult. I do all those things. I blog, I run workshops, I teach, I do all of those things. So when I tell you that mentorship was the next logical step, that was deep consideration given to that. And with that consideration, because those of you who follow me know that I am a woman of faith, when God gave me that, when he gave me the instruction to go ahead and matter of fact, his words were, you need to start a mentorship group. I bucked from that because my first thing is, I don't have a degree. I don't have this. Who's going to listen to me? The second thing the Lord told me was, I didn't ask you about your education. So from there, being obedient, and now, because he told me that in the early part of 2019, and now at this point, because I am 2 weeks from graduation, and now another 2 years off of getting my master's, and still writing, still creating, still building the professional network, still doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I can now bring this opportunity to you all with strength and clarity. Okay. And those of you who are unfamiliar, also, I run the podcast, The Writer's Block, which you can also find on Apple Podcasts. You can find on Google Play, Spotify, and I believe we're also on Radio Public and Breaker. And there's another one that I'm forgetting. Oh, and it's also on Anchor. And Anchor also, shameless plug for Anchor. Also with Anchor, it will show you how to set up your own podcast. So I can't recommend Anchor enough. Love them. And in May of 2020, the Writer's Block will be way into season 2 of our show. So season 1, the Writer's Block just ended in November. And the Writer's Block is basically where I have author interviews. Exactly. # Are you listening? Where I actually discuss writing topics, writing themes, I give you tips, tricks, resources, things I found out, because the goal of the writer's block is, again, to keep you writing, to keep you motivated, and to remind that you're not by yourself in the creative process. Sometimes it may feel that you are, especially as writers, especially as minority writers, especially as Black writers. It feels that no one else is there for you, that no one else can help you, no one else can understand the struggle. Trust, we can. All right. So make sure you follow the Writer's Block podcast as well. Season 2 begins not September, but December the 5th. The first show will air on December 12th, that week following. Okay. All right. So now that we've done that little bit of housekeeping, let's kind of get in where we fit in. Those of you who know me in real life know that I am a fan of the writer Roxane Gay. Roxane Gay is irreverent and bold and brilliant. And there was one podcast I was listening to, I believe it was through Luminary, where she talked about how we as Black writers need to take care of one another. Because her quote was, "If we don't, who will?" And I personally, again, as I spoke about before, my heart gets broken every time there's a writer or a writer of color or a Black writer who just stops because they don't have any support. Where they believe they won't have any support if they keep going. And the opposite is true. Sometimes you have to work a little harder to find your people, to find your tribe, to figure out where it is that you fit in at. And one of the reasons why this mentorship exists, so you can actually find support. One of the things that I believe people overlook is the importance of mentorship. The purpose of mentorship is for teaching and impartation. It's not just on a religious or a church aspect. You can have a mentor on your secular job. You can have a mentor in your neighborhood, someone who helps you do a skill or can teach you how to perfect a skill, someone who can teach you how to do something better. That is a mentor, especially if you give them respect of their advice, opinion, and wisdom. And we all, if we're honest, we all need mentors. We all need mentorship because we don't have it all together. There are things about certain skills and certain professions that they actually do, especially with nursing. What they do is they give you a preceptor. And the preceptor is supposed to take you through the floor, tell you where everything is, tell you how to get everything, and show you specific skills that you will need as you advance on your specific floor and if you want to go somewhere else. So the goal of a preceptor is to be able to guide you, much like a mentor. Someone you can ask questions of, someone you can bounce things off of, someone whom you can express hesitations and doubts and fears to without fear of being judged or abandoned. Because there are those of us whom are so distrustful of people, and I know myself have been one, where you feel that you know that you need help, but you just don't know where to go because you've been hurt so bad by the places you have been that you feel that if I go somewhere else, that won't help. Over here at JBHarris Mentorship, we got you. One of the things, and I'll get into this a little later in the live, but one of the things by which I have found in the work that I've done, the people whom I've helped, what I have noticed is people do better as it relates to writing when they feel that they are supported and that they're listened to. They do better when they feel that they're listened to. And if they feel that they're listened to, the greater the quality of work becomes. So the niche that JBHarris Mentorship will begin to fulfill is that niche of that one-on-one interpersonal brainstorming and consulting. The goal, again, is to keep you writing, to keep you supported. What do you need? How do you need it? And what is the goal of the project? Because again, my goal is to make sure that you are okay. My goal is to make sure that the things that you need in order to complete your project, to complete your work, that you will have, including access to, including access to my network. Because again, as I've been building on the backside of the desert, there are people I can put my hand on to begin to funnel and filter people through, and truly have already. There are 5 people who I've actually helped put their book together. And again, with motherhood in school, that has truly been a feat. But as far as the overview, let's get into that real quick. The overview of mentorship has really three tiers. The first tier is consulting. Consulting basically is brainstorming. You come to me, you ask me questions about a specific project, and then we put together a plan as to how to fix that, to how to complete that, how to even begin it. So consulting is also has the leg of brainstorming. I don't just send you out with no plan. Whenever we have a consulting meeting or a brainstorming meeting, there's always a plan that's going to be put in place. So at least you have the option of going forward. Coaching. Now, here's where we kind of get into it. If you decide that you want my help as far as getting your project complete, we're going to have a deadline. We're going to have a hard deadline, which we can't move that. And we can have a soft deadline. Soft deadlines we can move, we can kind of negotiate. If you hit it, fine. If not, that's cool, as long as we get to the hard deadline. But the essential thing with coaching is you are going to have to commit to write. Now, I prefer not to do by word, but by page. But this is also dependent or independent of the client that I'm working with. Because if you come to me and say, I'm trying to get this short story done, I don't know where to start yet, and I want my short story to turn into a novel, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to tackle the short story first. We're going to set a plan to say you're going to have this many pages done by X date, and then by this date, then we'll tackle the novel. All right? So I never want to give you more than you can chew at one point. I always try to send my clients off with some map and some plan, because not everybody can. Again, I am well aware that not everybody can do these words like I can do, and it would be arrogant and presumptuous of me to feel that people can. So I like to deal with people where they are, at the level that they aspire to be at, and the level that they want to go. My job is just to push, which is what coaches do. I see your potential, see your talent, and also hold you to account. If you tell me that, Jen, I'm going to get these 100 pages done and give me 3 months. Okay, cool. So that means if we start this in January, 3 months from there is April. So if we start January 10, by April 10, you need to have 100. You need to have 100 pages that we can go over, look at, and then I can send you on. If that is indeed what you desire to do, because I don't believe in wasting people's time, money, and energy over something they desire not to do. And also, JBHarris mentorship also will help with special projects. These are things that people may come up with or need help creating. Now, there's a friend of mine. Hi, Apostle. There's a friend of mine who's now working on this, poem for a church, and he doesn't know where to begin. Okay, here is where I step in and say, okay, what is our deadline? What's our soft deadline? What's our hard deadline? What are you trying to accomplish? So in that capacity, I'm also coaching and I'm also pushing. Okay, I'm consulting, I'm pushing, and I'm assisting. That's all coaches do. I'm supposed to see where you are and help you get where you're supposed to go with the talent you already have. I know it seems like it's a lot, but bear with me. We almost done already. So as I spoke about before, the official launch date is going to be January 15th, 2020. So that's when the site will be up. That's when all the information that is pertinent will be there, and the contact information will be solidified. Not that it's not solid now, but there are other things that I want to develop adjacent to the website called JBHarris Writing Services. So there will be a division on that site that deals just with mentorship. And also, as it deals with mentorship, there's also going to be a YouTube component. There's also going to be a component where I can actually have office hours and engage with clients that way as well. And there's also going to be a conference call once a month as it relates to clients as well. Okay. There's also going to be, so you have access to me. So there is no reason to say, I can't make it. Jen didn't help me. I'm going to give you all the resources that you need to be great. My job as mentor is to help you be great. Not overtake, but to help you be great. And I am going to open the floor now for questions, comments, and concerns. I know I kind of ran through that kind of fast, so I want to make sure that any questions that you all have, I actually get to field for the moment while I pull up my FAQs. Okay, we'll keep going. Okay, FAQs. I forgot this nugget as well. So if you catch this on the replay, the email address for all inquiries will probably be up at the top. Okay, right below the title of this live. So there will be an email address attached to this particular live video with all information that you need to submit an inquiry. Okay, so that email address is J as in Jack, B as in boy, Harris, HARRIS, mentorship@gmail.com. Okay. So again, if you decide that you need more information, you want to get information from someone else, make sure you email your girl and put mentorship inquiry in the subject line. So one question I get often is, what is a writing coach and why do I need one? I actually love this question. A writing coach is someone that assists you with writing projects. This person helps you develop, organize, and supports a writing project. That's all writing coaches do. If you come to me saying, because this is the most common question I get and have gotten over the past 3 years, Jen, I want to write a book, but I don't know where to start. Okay, the fact that you acknowledge you actually have a book you want to write or that you desire to write is one step in the right direction. So if you say that you have a book that you want to write and you don't know where to start, the first thing we're gonna do is do a brainstorming consultation session. Because I need to know what kind of book it is, what genre it is, what is the book going to be about? I need that from you so I know how to help you. So does everybody need a writing coach? Not everybody needs one. But for those of you that do, writing coaches are real. They're a real thing. And their job is to develop, organize, and support a writing project. All right. The second question I get often is, can mentorship help me with just a single project? And my emphatic answer to that is yes. Mentorship is set and executed by the needs of the client. The minimum amount of time that I ask for is actually 3 months. I think if you come to me and you have an idea, especially if you have an idea that you haven't quite developed yet, again, as with the example I just gave, with you saying that I have a book and I don't know where to start, the best thing you could possibly do is get with a writing coach and begin to get your plan in place as to what kind of book it is, how long do you think it is, and what is it going to be about. Sometimes the best thing is to have someone else help you dissect and sift through the confusion sometimes that comes with writing a book, especially if it's your first one. All right. The third question is, what is my mentorship investment? All right. Now, in being honest with you all, my consultations with me are $30 an hour. For the first 30 minutes are free, and then after that 29 minute, with $30. Okay, I set that up for this because there are some people who just need help to just kind of organize their thoughts and kind of pull them out of that vortex of I don't know where to start. And once again, this is just me, how I've made consultation work for me. Once you hit that 30-minute mark and we're still kind of dissecting and going through and revealing, there is when you cut into time. There is when you're trying to make an investment into what it is that you want to do and desire to do. So normal consultations with me are $30 an hour. And we can have those in person. We can have those on the phone. Thank you, Mom. We have those on the phone. We can have those in person. We can actually have those on Messenger. I've done more than a few consultations on Messenger. So I try my best to make mentorship as accessible as possible. And as it relates to mentorship, I believe that is an investment. You're investing in something that you want and desire to do and need help to do. And the one thing that I say as far as mentorship is concerned, that your initial investment is $50 and it's non-refundable. Now, this I take from this attitude, this mantra, this piece of wisdom I actually got from Apostle Tanya Kim Stewart. She said that things that you invest in, you are more than likely to take care of. If you have given me this money to go ahead and say, look, this is what I want to do, and I'm trusting you to do that, you've now invested not only in my time, effort, and energy, but you're investing in yourself with time, effort, and energy, because now I have to be accountable for what it is that you're trying to do and develop. And after that is paid, there is a monthly fee, and that's $50 a month for the duration of the mentorship relationship. This is due at the 7th of every month. So the next question I would get is, well, Jen, if I pay the $50, does that include the first month? Yes, it actually does. So if you pay that, I'm not gonna tax you and say, if you just pay that non-refundable $50 on, let's say, the first of the month, and all the dues are due on the 7th of the month, I'm not gonna ask you for another $50. So that is going to cover your initial investment. So then you wouldn't have to pay again until the 7th of the following month. And this also covers, it would cover, it would cover materials, time, and admin fees I would need to go ahead and help you in your particular project. And the other question I get a lot is, what are the features of mentorship? One of the features, there are five features for mentorship. One is one-on-one meetings. I actually prefer doing one-on-one meetings because the clients that I've helped, they seem to do better with that. Once we have a draft or an idea in front of us, and you can actually hear my critique versus reading my critique, that seems to work better. We can actually hear the concern and passion I have for your project. So you know that the energy is the same. Because my goal is not to be a dictator, but a springboard. My job is to water what you already have growing, not take it over. My job is to help you in that capacity to make your work be as best as it possibly can be. And one-on-one meetings can either be, again, they can be on Skype, they could be on Facebook, they could be at Starbucks, they can be catching lunch. One-on-one meetings can be dictated by the client, because I understand that some people who are writing books also have a day job, who also have kids, who also have ministries, who also have things that they do adjacent to this. So I try and make that accessible and reasonable. Also, the other thing I love to do, which is brainstorming. Let's just say we get your plan together, we get your deadlines together, your soft and your hard deadline, and let's say that you kind of get stuck. Because you've now engaged in this particular group, you have access to me to say, Jen, I get this part of the plan, but can we develop this part a little more? So I call those brainstorming sessions. Again, those can be done over the phone, conference call, or in person, or through social media. You may just need 10-15 minutes of my time to go ahead and go back over this particular concept and maybe develop that a little more. With JBHarris Mentorship, you will get that. Also, luncheons. One thing that I love to do is actually get people that I'm working with together and bounce ideas off one another. I love collaborations, and one of the best ways to collaborate is actually through food. I think that in having a space where there are like-minded people going through the same thing that you are, as far as developing a book, developing a writing project, you sometimes need other voices. You sometimes need other people who may be writing something similar to maybe give you a piece of advice, maybe give you a resource, maybe give you a tool that I haven't thought of. And sometimes those critiques come better or are received better from other people. There's a method to the madness. And as I mentioned, conference calls. Conference calls will be held once a month where I get all clients together, kind of ask where is everybody at, who needs what, so that way I can plot out my time, effort, and energy for that week or that month. And also, which I think is imperative for any mentorship group, that they have access to a network that does similar things. What does that mean? That means since I just do writing, since I just do platforms, since I just help to usher in whatever it is that you're trying to write or create or develop, you would need people who can help to polish that vision, as it were. Because if you're doing a book, I can't make book covers, but I know a guy that does. Let's just say you're doing a play and you need a song written or you need a score. I know someone who can do that. So you would have access to my professional network all in-house. You have access to that all in-house. And sometimes with other mentorship groups that I've been a part of and that I've actually seen, sometimes you have to pay for that. Here, you don't have to pay for that. Because I believe, again, in making things accessible, making things practical, and making things resourceful for people who actually are needing my help. And another question I get is, what is the process for client selection? Clients are chosen at the level of inquiry, those whom need help the most. Now, I know the phrase "the most" is subjective, because a lot of people say, I need help right now, I need help right now, I need help right now. But when I use the phrase "the most," these are people who don't have any idea where they want to go. They know they want to do this thing, they have to do this thing, and they may not have a map. Those people are chosen first. And then the people who may have a map and may need to kind of get that developed and kind of need to see the forest before they see the trees. And then people who may have an idea, a map, see the forest, but they may get stuck. You see what I'm saying? So it goes from people who don't have any idea to people who have some idea to people who have pretty much their idea formed, and then people who just need their idea polished. So that's how clients will be and are chosen. Number 6, what if my goals change through mentorship? Well, during mentorship. If your goals change during mentorship, please give 30-day notice. The one thing that I have found that, again, in working with writers, working with bloggers, working with people whom deem themselves to be creative, I give space for people to change their minds. What does that mean? That means that if we start just doing a short story and then that short story turns to a play or turns to a novel, I give you space at the completion of that. I give you space to allow you to change your mind. Now, if you say after the completion of this particular project that this is all we're going to do together, this is how I would function. There will be no other grace given to that. What does that mean? That means that if we're only going to work together to get this one thing accomplished, that's all we're going to do. So somewhere, if you decide that in the making of this short story that you want to stretch it out into a novel, at least give me 30 days so we can go ahead and reassess and brainstorm and consult to get you what you need so we can readjust the map. Also, if you decide that mentorship is not necessarily what you want to do, you're not getting what you want out of it, or, other things happen or demand your attention, at least give me 30 days to go ahead and terminate that relationship. And you would get an email, you would get an invoice as it relates to the ending of that relationship. So at the ending of that relationship, the only thing that I would ask is that if it's around your due date for mentorship, that you pay that last $50, and then whatever work that you have goes with you. I keep nothing. So that's how those particular contracts will be constructed. And again, if you desire the mentorship relationship to end, please give 30-day notice. This way, if you decide that you want to end this relationship before that next due date, we can work something out, and you can again retain all your intellectual property. I keep nothing. Another question that I get is, what do consultations consist of? They consist of brainstorming, which is, again, us sitting down, us talking, us figuring out what it is that you want, don't want, would like to include, don't like to include, and what your project will actually consist of, and what the end result will be. Organization. I'm a big fan of, if you're going to do a writing project, you need a map. You need a map. If I cannot stress it enough, the best thing that you can do as a writer as it relates to creating a project is having a map. And sometimes if you just write notes about the particular work that you're doing, that too can also serve as a map. So we get organization with those consultations as well. Sometimes that will include an outline or a book outline, and I've even had people do a series outline as in their particular consultation. And we'll also do scheduling and deadlines. Again, this goes back into hard deadlines, which are immovable, and then soft deadlines, which are malleable, which means that we can move it up, move it down, move it back, or even, pencil it in, as it were. And we can also schedule, one-on-one meetings, personal conference calls, and other thing that you would need to make you successful in what it is that you are creating. And also, consultations consist of, as I spoke about before, one-on-one meetings. In those meetings, you get access to me unfiltered. So that means we can talk about your project, your fears about it, your trepidations about it, even pick my brain about whom you could go to within the network that could help you get a particular element of it together, whether that be a song, whether it be a book cover, whether that be more editing. So again, the goal is to keep you motivated, supported, and successful. And lastly, how many clients are selected per cohort? Since this is going to be an entirely new endeavor, which is going to piggyback on what I already do on Come Get Your Right Life, aka JBHarris Writing Services. In this inaugural cohort, there will be 5 people that are going to be chosen. In the foreseeable future, there will be no more than 10. I say that because as it relates to people's writing styles, their schedules, I believe that 5 is a manageable number, and 10 is the absolute max I could probably do in the foreseeable future. So again, I thank you all for listening. Thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you all for listening to the playback, to the replay. And I thank you to all of you who are going to send emails asking for more information. The one thing I will admonish you is make sure you are listening to the Writer's Block podcast on the week of December the 12th, because I am going to make a more formal announcement there as well. And also make sure you are following ComeGetYourRightLife.com, because there's going to be a page there that's going to detail FAQs and all other pertinent information as it relates to JBHarris Mentorship Group. Again, it launches officially on January the 15th, 2020, which I am totally over the moon about, with the inaugural luncheon being the 18th of January. So if you are in the St. Louis area, make sure that you come by and see your girl, get your questions answered, get some merchandise, get something to drink, pick my brain. It'll be great. Okay. I thank you all. Love you all with the love of the Lord. Thank you all for taking up about an hour of your time. Thank you all so much. I look forward to working with each and every one of you, because I know writing is hard. I know it can be scary, and I know that it can be overwhelming, especially if you don't know where to go or who to go to. So I admonish you all to come see me on January the 18th. Make sure that you follow the site. Make sure that you're listening to the podcast, and I will see you all later. Thank you.